Do you remember what you ate at church potlucks? 30 casseroles lined those basement tables in the 1960s, dishes that cost pennies but fed entire congregations.
Mildred, this is the best tuna noodle bake I've ever tasted.
Thank you, Harold. Careful now, it's fresh from the oven.
The smell of cream of mushroom soup and brown cheese filled the fellowship hall. These weren't just recipes, they were love, baked in Pyrex, each church lady's signature dish, guarded like scripture and passed down through generations of Sunday suppers. Walk into any Ohio church basement in 1965 and you'd smell this before you saw it. Johnny Marzetti casserole, named after a Columbus restaurant owner, became the Midwest's answer to lasagna. Ground beef, egg noodles, tomato sauce, and cheese layered in a glass baking dish until the top turned golden and bubbly. The genius was in the seasoning. Church ladies in Columbus knew the secret. A full tablespoon of chili powder transformed ordinary tomato sauce into something that tasted expensive. That warmth, that depth, made this casserole memorable. Cost? $1.75 to feed 12 people. That's about 15 cents per serving. But Johnny Marzetti represented regional pride. Ohio church ladies brought this to potlucks with confidence. When families moved from Ohio to other states, they carried this recipe like missionaries. By 1968, Johnny Marzetti had appeared in church basements from Michigan to Texas. My grandmother used to say, "If your Johnny Marzetti sits on the table after everyone's eaten, you made it wrong." Stop everything. This casserole earned its name honestly. It tasted like something that should cost a fortune, but used clearance shelf ingredients. Spaghetti layered with cream cheese, sour cream, and meat sauce, then topped with mozzarella. Pure comfort in a 9x13 pan that cost $2.50. The cream cheese layer was the secret. 8 ounces of cream cheese, 60 cents in 1966, mixed with sour cream and spread between layers of spaghetti. It created richness that made people ask, "What's in this?" Church ladies would smile mysteriously and say, "Oh, just a little something special." That mystique mattered in church basement culture. Different from million-dollar spaghetti, this Texas church basement staple combined chicken, spaghetti, Rotel tomatoes, and Velveeta cheese. The Rotel, canned tomatoes with green chilies, gave it a kick that set it apart from bland Midwestern casseroles. The Velveeta melted into creamy sauce with that distinctive orange glow. The dish demonstrated regional ingredient availability. Rotel was a Texas product, harder to find elsewhere until late 1960s. By 1967, Rotel had expanded distribution to 43 states, and chicken spaghetti began appearing nationwide. But Texans always claimed it as theirs, insisting versions made outside Texas were inferior imitations. Chicken, cream of chicken soup, sour cream, and Ritz cracker topping mixed with poppy seeds. The poppy seeds added nutty flavor and visual interest that made this feel sophisticated. Church ladies served this when they wanted to impress, visiting ministers, anniversary celebrations, special occasions requiring something beyond everyday food. The Ritz cracker topping was crucial. Crushed crackers mixed with melted butter and poppy seeds created golden, crunchy layer that contrasted with creamy chicken below. That textural contrast elevated the dish from ordinary to memorable. Wait until you see what happened when church ladies got their hands on it. This migration pattern democratized foods that had been class markers. Chicken pieces baked with broccoli, cream of mushroom soup, mayonnaise, and curry powder topped with cheese and breadcrumbs. The curry powder was the surprise. just a teaspoon, enough to add warmth without making it ethnic or threatening to conservative church palates. This recipe appeared around 1964, right when broccoli became widely available frozen. The mayonnaise raised eyebrows. Mayonnaise in a casserole? But it worked. Mixed with soup and curry powder, it created sauce that was rich without being heavy. Question for you. How many of these casseroles have you actually tasted? Drop a number in the comments. Let's see who remembers real church basement food. Canned corned beef, egg noodles, cream of mushroom soup, and Swiss cheese. This casserole used shelf-stable ingredients that could sit in church pantries for months, ready for emergency potlucks when fresh meat wasn't available. The corned beef provided salty, savory flavor that made bland noodles interesting. The Swiss cheese was important. It added sophistication that regular cheddar couldn't match. Swiss cheese in the 1960s signaled you knew about European flavors, that you weren't stuck eating only American cheese. That cultural knowledge mattered in church basements, where women competed subtly through cooking. This appeared most frequently at Wednesday night suppers, when attendance was unpredictable and budgets tight. The shelf-stable ingredients meant church ladies could make it without special shopping trips. One woman in Michigan wrote in her church newsletter in 1967, "Our Wednesday night suppers have been blessed by Mrs. Anderson's corned beef casserole." Canned asparagus, diced ham, hard-boiled eggs, and cream sauce layered in a casserole dish and topped with buttered breadcrumbs. This used up leftover Easter ham, appearing at church dinners the week after Easter, when everyone had ham they needed to use before it spoiled. The combination of asparagus and eggs created a dish that felt like springtime, light, fresh, different from heavy winter casseroles. The green asparagus added color to plates that were otherwise beige and brown. That visual appeal mattered when presentation was considered part of a woman's domestic competence. Canned asparagus was expensive, about 40 cents per can, making this costlier than most church basement fare. But it appeared regularly because it solved the leftover ham problem. Named after an Italian opera singer, this combined turkey, spaghetti, mushrooms, and a sherry-laced cream sauce, topped with Parmesan cheese. The name alone gave it sophistication. Most church ladies couldn't pronounce tetrazzini correctly, but they made it anyway because it was absolutely delicious. The sherry was controversial. Some churches banned alcohol entirely, making this theologically impossible. Other churches looked the other way, reasoning that alcohol cooked off during baking. This theological debate played out in church basements across America, with conservative congregations serving sherryless versions. Turkey tetrazzini appeared primarily after Thanksgiving, when everyone had leftover turkey getting dry. The casserole transformed those dry leftovers into something creamy and rich. The mushrooms added earthiness, the sherry added depth, and the Parmesan added salty umami. Ground beef, egg noodles, tomato sauce, diced dill pickles, mustard, and cheese. This tasted exactly like a cheeseburger, but in casserole form. Children went absolutely crazy for it because it delivered familiar fast food flavors in a format mothers approved of. The pickles were key. Diced dill pickles mixed into the casserole provided tangy crunch that mimicked pickle slices on actual cheeseburgers. Some church ladies added a tablespoon of yellow mustard to tomato sauce, creating that distinctive cheeseburger flavor profile. This represented the 1960s collision between traditional home cooking and emerging fast food culture. Families were eating more meals at McDonald's and Burger King. Children were developing preferences for those flavors. Church ladies adapted by creating casseroles that delivered fast food taste, beef noodle bake. Different from basic beef and noodles, this version used cream cheese and cottage cheese to create rich, tangy layer between beef and noodles. The dual cheese layer was inspired by lasagna but simplified for church ladies who didn't want to deal with finicky lasagna noodles. The cream cheese and cottage cheese mixture created tanginess that cut through richness of beef and tomato sauce. That flavor balance made the casserole more interesting than versions relying solely on cream of mushroom soup. The cottage cheese also added protein and calcium. This appeared starting around 1966, right when cream cheese became more affordable. Before that, cream cheese was expensive, about 50 cents for 8 ounces, and used primarily for cheesecake. As prices dropped to about 35 cents, church ladies experimented with using it in savory dishes. Remember that $1 million spaghetti? Same cream cheese revolution happening across church basements. Chicken breasts wrapped in Swiss cheese and thin sliced ham, topped with cream of mushroom soup and Pepperidge Farm stuffing mix. This was church basement cordon bleu, simplified, Americanized version of the French classic that required no breading, no frying, no complicated technique. The layering created visual interest when cut and served. Each portion showed distinct layers: chicken, ham, cheese, soup, stuffing. That presentation mattered when church ladies were competing for compliments and recipe requests. A casserole that looked good when served had advantage over delicious but visually boring dishes. The stuffing mix topping was crucial. It absorbed moisture from soup and created crispy, savory layer. Some used stovetop stuffing mix, introduced in 1968. Others made their own from dried bread cubes, butter, and seasonings. The homemade version signaled greater effort. This was expensive, about $4 to feed 12 people. Minnesota's gift to church basement cuisine: ground beef, cream of mushroom soup, mixed vegetables, topped with tater tots and cheese. In Minnesota, this wasn't called casserole, it was hot dish, and the terminology mattered deeply. Calling it casserole marked you as an outsider who didn't understand Lutheran church culture. The tater tots created crispy topping that children loved with intensity bordering on obsession. Each tot was a small, individual unit of crispy potato perfection. The dish combined everything kids enjoyed: meat, cheese, and fried potatoes in one convenient format. Tater tot hot dish appeared across Minnesota and the Dakotas starting late 1950s, but reached peak popularity mid-1960s. By 1967, it was so ubiquitous in Lutheran church basements that potlucks without it felt incomplete. The dish represented regional identity. Minnesotans made hot dish, not casserole, and were fiercely proud of that distinction. The casserole church ladies whisper about, but never write down in official church cookbooks, because it involves sherry and curry powder, two ingredients that caused theological debates in conservative congregations: chicken and broccoli in cream sauce, flavored with curry and sherry, topped with cheese and breadcrumbs. The name divan came from a New York hotel restaurant where the dish was created in the 1950s, giving this sophisticated origins that appealed to church ladies wanting to seem worldly and cultured. The curry powder added warmth and complexity without making the dish ethnic or threatening. Just a teaspoon in the entire casserole, enough to add interest, but not enough to alarm conservative palates. The sherry issue created genuine divisions. Some church ladies used it boldly, believing cooking eliminated alcohol and left only flavor. Others substituted chicken broth, sacrificing authenticity for theological purity. Still others made two versions, one with sherry for progressive churches, one without for conservative congregations. One church lady in Georgia, Mrs. Helen Patterson, wrote in her diary in 1965, made chicken divan for the church supper, used sherry. Reverend Johnson ate 2 helpings and asked for the recipe. Didn't tell him about the sherry. Some things are better left unsaid. The Lord forgives small omissions in service of fellowship. That discretion was essential for navigating church politics. Ground beef, cream-style corn, egg noodles, and cheese. This combined sweet corn with savory beef in a way that shouldn't have worked, but absolutely did. The cream-style corn created moisture and sweetness that balanced the beef's richness. The result was comfort food that tasted like Midwest summers. The cream-style corn was essential. Regular corn kernels didn't provide the same creamy binding that held the casserole together. That thick, sweet corn sauce coated noodles and beef, creating cohesive dish. Some church ladies added a can of whole kernel corn for texture variation. This was particularly popular in Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas, states where corn wasn't just a crop, but cultural identity. Church ladies in these states made casseroles celebrating corn, showcasing its versatility. Children loved this because it was slightly sweet. The cream-style corn added sugar that made the entire dish more appealing to young palates. Think you've seen everything? The next 6 casseroles get even more creative, and the stories behind them? They'll change how you see church basement culture forever. Pork chops layered with sliced potatoes, cream of mushroom soup, and onions. This required more preparation than dump and bake versions because pork chops needed browning first in hot skillet. That extra step signaled the cook had invested time and effort, elevating the dish's status among congregation members who noticed such details. The browning created flavor through the Maillard reaction, the chemical process creating rich, savory tastes when proteins and sugars interact at high heat. Church ladies didn't know the chemistry, but they knew browned pork chops tasted better than raw ones thrown into casseroles. That empirical knowledge, passed down through generations, created better food without requiring formal culinary education. The sliced potatoes absorbed flavors from pork chops and soup as everything baked together for 90 minutes. By the time the casserole was done, potatoes had transformed from bland starch into savory vegetables, tasting like pork and mushrooms. This appeared most frequently at fall church dinners when pork was abundant and affordable. Bulk, sausage, rice, cream of mushroom soup, and water baked together until rice was tender and had absorbed all liquid. This one-dish meal required no pre-cooking of rice, making it easier than versions requiring multiple steps and dirty pots needing washing. The sausage fat, rendered during baking, flavoring rice with pork richness that made every grain taste savory and satisfying. That fat was essential. It made rice taste like something instead of just being bland filler. Some church ladies drained fat after browning sausage, trying to make the dish healthier. Those versions tasted wrong. This was particularly popular in churches with large families needing filling, economical food. The rice stretched the sausage dramatically, making 1 pound of meat feed 12 people instead of 6. Southern churches used spicy sausage with sage and red pepper. Midwestern churches used mild sausage with just salt and pepper. Corn tortillas layered with ground beef, enchilada sauce, cheese, and onions. This southwestern casserole made its way into church basements across America during the 1960s as Mexican-inspired foods became more mainstream. The dish was thoroughly Americanized, mild, cheesy, adapted to ingredients available in regular grocery stores. The corn tortillas were the authentic element, distinguishing this from other beef and cheese casseroles using pasta. They added texture and flavor that flour tortillas or pasta couldn't match. The tortillas also absorbed sauce and softened during baking, creating layers that held together when cut. Enchilada casserole appeared most frequently in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California churches, where Mexican-American members brought their food traditions to potlucks. The casserole represented cultural exchange. Anglo church ladies learning to make Mexican-inspired dishes. Mexican-American church ladies adapting traditional recipes to suit Anglo palates. This was relatively expensive, about $3 for 12 servings. Different from beef version, this used shredded chicken, green enchilada sauce, sour cream, and white cheese to create milder, creamier casserole. The green sauce, made from tomatillos and green chilies, was less common than red sauce, giving this distinctive flavor. The sour cream layer was crucial. Mixed with green sauce and spread between tortilla layers, it created tanginess balancing richness of cheese and chicken. That flavor balance made the casserole more sophisticated than versions relying solely on cheese. This appeared primarily in churches with more educated, traveled congregations exposed to regional Mexican cuisine beyond Tex-Mex. The green sauce wasn't available in all grocery stores, so making this required shopping at specialty stores or making sauce from scratch. By 1968, canned green enchilada sauce became more widely available, democratizing this casserole. Canned tuna, rice, cream of celery soup, and peas. This was similar to tuna noodle but used rice instead of noodles, creating different texture and making it appropriate for Friday dinners when Catholics abstained from meat. The cream of celery soup was less common than cream of mushroom, giving this distinctive flavor. The rice absorbed liquid during baking, becoming tender and flavorful. Unlike noodles, which could get mushy if overcooked, rice maintained its texture and structure. That reliability made this forgiving for church ladies managing multiple dishes and couldn't watch the oven constantly. This appeared most frequently at Lenten fish fries and Friday night suppers when churches needed meatless meals. The tuna provided protein without violating Catholic dietary rules. The casserole cost about $1.50 for 12 servings, making it one of the most economical church basement dishes available. Italian-American comfort food that appeared in church basements starting mid-1960s, ziti pasta, ricotta cheese, mozzarella, and marinara sauce, layered and baked until bubbly. This was church basement lasagna, similar flavors but easier to prepare and serve to large crowds. The ziti tubes were perfect for casseroles because they held sauce inside their hollow centers, creating pockets of flavor throughout. Each bite delivered pasta, cheese, and sauce in perfect proportion without dry bites or sauce-heavy sections that plagued poorly assembled lasagna. This appeared primarily in churches with Italian-American members who brought their food traditions to potlucks. The recipe represented Americanization of Italian cuisine, simplified, adapted to available ingredients. The ricotta cheese was expensive, about 75 cents for a pound, making this costlier than most church basement fare at about $3.50 total. Chicken, black beans, corn, salsa, and cheese layered with crushed tortilla chips. This represented late 1960s fascination with Mexican-inspired foods, though flavors were heavily Americanized. The tortilla chips created crunchy topping that made the dish interesting and appealing. The black beans were the authentic element. Most church basement casseroles used kidney beans or pinto beans, but black beans were specifically associated with Mexican cuisine. Their inclusion signaled the cook knew about regional Mexican ingredients and wasn't just throwing together Tex-Mex flavors. This appeared most frequently in youth group dinners and casual church gatherings. The fun, informal nature of tortilla chips made it feel less formal than traditional casseroles. Teenagers especially loved it because it tasted like party food. The salsa provided moisture and flavor without requiring homemade sauce. Frozen hash browns, cream of chicken soup, sour cream, cheese, and cornflake topping. This became so popular it transcended church basement origins to appear at holiday dinners and family reunions. The frozen hash browns made it incredibly easy. No peeling, no grating, no preparation beyond opening a bag. The sour cream created tanginess, elevating this beyond ordinary potato casseroles. That tang balanced richness of cheese and soup, preventing the dish from being heavy. The The cornflake topping added crunch and slight sweetness, making the casserole more interesting. This appeared at church breakfasts, brunches, and dinners. Its versatility made it valuable for any meal. The mild flavors appealed to all ages. The casserole cost about $2.50 for 12 servings. The frozen hash browns cost about 70 cents, sour cream another 60 cents, and cheese about 50 cents. Ground beef, egg noodles, cream of mushroom soup, sour cream, and onions. This was church basement stroganoff, simplified, economical, adapted for crowds. Traditional stroganoff used beef tenderloin, but church ladies used ground beef, making it affordable while maintaining essential flavor profile. The sour cream was added after baking, stirred into hot casserole just before serving. This technique kept sour cream from curdling and maintained its tangy flavor. Church ladies who knew this trick produced superior stroganoff casseroles that tasted fresh and bright rather than flat. This appeared at church dinners when congregations wanted something that felt special without being expensive. The name stroganoff carried sophistication that elevated the meal beyond ordinary ground beef casseroles. The dish cost about $2.25 for 12 servings. You think that was expensive? Wait until you see what chicken wild rice casserole cost. We're at 18 casseroles. If you're still watching, comment basement and tell me which church you remember eating these at. I'm building that map of fellowship dinner memories across America. Ground beef, pepperoni, mozzarella cheese, pizza sauce, and rigatoni pasta. This delivered pizza flavors in a format that could feed crowds and didn't require individual slices. Children went absolutely crazy for it because it combined two favorite foods, pizza and pasta, into one convenient dish that could be eaten with a fork instead of hands. The pepperoni was essential. Its spicy, fatty flavor permeated the entire casserole during baking, making every bite taste like pizza rather than just Italian pasta. Some church ladies used sliced pepperoni on top, creating visual that clearly signaled, "This is pizza casserole," to people walking past potluck table. Others diced pepperoni and mixed it throughout, distributing flavor more evenly and ensuring every serving contained meat. This appeared most frequently at youth group dinners and children's events, where getting kids excited about church activities required food that felt fun rather than obligatory. The Pizza Association made it feel like a treat rather than a meal, which helped get children excited about attending church functions they might otherwise have resisted. The dish was relatively expensive, about $3 for 12 servings, because both ground beef and pepperoni cost money, and mozzarella cheese was more expensive than cheddar. But it appeared regularly anyway because it was so effective at attracting children to church events and improving attendance. Chicken, broccoli, rice, cream of mushroom soup, and cheese. This one-dish meal provided protein, vegetables, and starch all together, making it nutritionally complete and eliminating need for multiple side dishes. The rice cooked in the casserole, absorbing flavors from chicken and soup while becoming tender and flavorful. The broccoli added color and nutrition that church ladies valued. By mid-1960s, they had read enough magazine articles about vegetables and vitamins to know that green foods were important for health and preventing disease. This casserole let them serve vegetables in format that children would actually eat, covered in cheese and mixed with chicken and rice. Sausage, eggs, bread, cheese, and milk. This appeared at Sunday morning church breakfasts, men's prayer breakfast meetings, and any early morning gathering where feeding people before 8 a.m. was required. The beauty was that it could be assembled night before and baked in morning, making it perfect for events starting at ungodly hours when nobody wanted to wake up extra early. The bread absorbed egg and milk mixture overnight, becoming soft and custard-like during baking. That texture was crucial. It transformed ordinary bread into something special and different. Some church ladies used white bread. Others used whole wheat for health, and still others used leftover dinner rolls or hot dog buns that would have been thrown away. All versions worked, proving the recipe's flexibility and forgiving nature.